The house glows like a jack-o'-lantern against the October dark. Every window blazing. Shadows moving behind curtains I watched my mother sew 40 years ago. But the only key was buried with her last spring. And I'm standing here with the demolition papers in my hand. That was 3 hours ago. Now I'm sitting in my car, engine running, watching my childhood home burn with electric light, while my brother Marcus texts me from Dubai. Stop being dramatic. The house is empty. But I know what I see. Let me back up. My name is Eleanor Voss, and until 6 months ago, I believed in the orderly progression of things. Birth, growth, decline, death, estate settlement. I'm 63 years old, a retired procurement officer for the state of Michigan, divorced, 2 grown daughters who call on Sundays. I've buried both parents, settled their affairs with minimal fuss, divided the assets according to the will. I am not a woman who sees ghosts. The house at 447 Sycamore Street has been dark for 11 months since my mother's final ambulance ride. A 1928 colonial red brick, white trim, the kind of solid Midwestern home that appreciates slowly and stands forever if you maintain the foundation. My father bought it in 1971 for $18,000. It's worth $400,000 now, even needing repairs. Marcus and I were supposed to split the sale proceeds after demolition, the lot alone worth more than the structure, according to the developer who's been circling like a vulture since the funeral. The first sign came in August. I'd driven out to check the property, part of my monthly rounds. The grass was knee-high despite the lawn service I'd contracted. But that wasn't what stopped me. It was the mailbox. The red flag was up. I stood there in the heat, staring at that raised plastic flag. Nobody had mail delivered there anymore. I'd forwarded everything to my condo months ago, filed the change of address myself. When I opened the box, my hand shook slightly. Not fear, but the tremor that comes with disrupted patterns. Inside was a single envelope, no postmark, no address, just my name in careful blue ballpoint. Eleanor. The paper inside was a receipt from Consumers Energy, dated the previous week, for electrical service activation at 447 Sycamore Street. I called the utility company from the driveway, spent 40 minutes on hold, another 20 being transferred between departments. Finally, a supervisor named Janet pulled up the account. Yes, ma'am. Service was restored on August 2nd. The order came through our online portal. Account holder listed as Eleanor Voss. Marcus. I hung up and called him immediately. It was past midnight in Dubai, but he answered on the second ring. Voice clear and alert the way it always is. Like sleep is something that happens to other people. Why did you turn the power back on? What are you talking about? The house. Mom's house. Someone reactivated the electrical service. A pause. I could hear him typing. Marcus types constantly during conversations, running 3 businesses from his laptop while half listening to the world. I didn't turn anything on. Why would I? We're demolishing it in October. The account is in your name. Eleanor Voss. More typing. L, there are probably 50 M. Vosses in Michigan. It's a mistake. Call them back. Get it shut off. But it wasn't a mistake. I knew that even then, standing in the driveway while the August sun beat down on the cracked asphalt. I knew it the way you know a storm is coming, by the ache in your joints. The receipt in my hand wasn't just paper. It was the first document in what would become a file 3 inches thick. Evidence. Though I didn't know evidence of what. I kept the receipt, slipped it into my purse between my grocery list and the wedding invitation from my nephew in California. Such a small thing. Later, my lawyer would hold it up in court like a smoking gun. But that August afternoon, it was just a puzzling scrap, the kind of minor mystery that retirement gives you too much time to contemplate. The second sign came 2 weeks later. I'd managed to get the power shut off after 4 more calls to Consumers Energy and a notarized letter proving my power of attorney. The woman who finally processed the disconnect sounded embarrassed. "I don't know how this happened, Mrs. Voss. The activation came through with all the proper verification codes. Someone would have needed access to your mother's account information. My mother is dead. I understand. I'm very sorry. We've made a note in the system. This won't happen again." But something else did happen. I got a call from ADT Security, a pleasant young man named Brandon, calling to confirm the installation appointment. What installation? For 447 Sycamore Street, the premium package with cameras and motion sensors. The appointment is for Thursday at 10 a.m. I didn't order this. The order shows it was placed online on August 18th. Should I check the name on the account? Let me guess. Monsieur Voss? Actually, no. This one shows Margaret Voss. My mother's name. My dead mother, ordering security systems from beyond the grave. I canceled the appointment, but Brandon called back the next day. The order had been reinstated. Someone was using my mother's information, her social security number, her date of birth. Identity theft of the dead, common enough that there's a term for it. Ghosting. But why use it to order services for an empty house scheduled for demolition? Marcus dismissed my concerns with the casual authority he'd wielded since childhood. "It's obviously a scam, Elle. Someone's probably using the house for package delivery fraud." "Have you been inside? They could be stealing mail, using the address for credit cards? Just call the police." So I did. Officer Chen came out on a Tuesday morning, walked through the house with me. Every room exactly as we'd left it after the estate sale. My mother's reading chair still in the corner of the living room, too worn to sell. The kitchen curtains she'd made from a tablecloth, yellowed but clean. No packages, no mail, no signs of entry. Officer Chen took notes, filed a report, gave me a case number. "We'll increase patrols," he said, "but honestly, ma'am, if no crime has been committed..." The third sign was the water bill. It arrived at my condo in early September, forwarded from the Sycamore address despite the mail stop I'd confirmed 3 times. The bill was for 1,847. Someone had used 23,000 gallons of water in a month. A swimming pool's worth. The utility company insisted the meter had been read correctly. No visible leaks. The water had gone somewhere. I started driving by the house daily. Always in daylight at first, then sometimes at dusk. Never saw anyone. Never saw anything unusual, except for small things that shouldn't have been there. A footprint in the dust on the back porch that wasn't my shoe size. A spider web broken across the basement window I knew had been intact the day before. The smell of coffee, so faint I might have imagined it, when I unlocked the front door on September 15th. Marcus flew back from Dubai in late September for his son's wedding in California. He had a 12-hour layover in Detroit, and I convinced him to come look at the house with me. We stood in the empty living room while afternoon light slanted through the windows, and I showed him the file I'd started keeping. The utility receipts, the ADT order, the water bill, photos I'd taken of the mysterious footprint, the broken spider web. He flipped through everything with the expression of a man humoring a senile relative. "Elle, You need to stop this. Stop what? This obsession. Mom's gone. The house is just a house. We're selling the lot in 3 weeks. Let it go. Someone is using Mom's identity. Someone is accessing the house. Then change the locks. I did, 2 weeks ago. That stopped him. He looked at me differently then, not dismissive, but concerned. You changed the locks? Brennan's Hardware, upgraded to deadbolts. Key code entry on the back door. I pulled the new keys from my purse, showed him the receipt. Cost $300. And yesterday the water was running in the upstairs bathroom. I heard it from the driveway. Marcus wanted to call a psychiatrist. Not in those words, but I could see it in the careful way he started handling me. The same voice he uses for hostile business negotiations. Elle, you've been under stress. Retiring, Mom's death, the divorce finalization last year. My divorce was 3 years ago. Still, major life changes. Maybe you should talk to someone. Someone is in the house, Marcus. Then we'll install cameras. Real ones. Not whatever scam was trying to use Mom's information. I'll pay for it myself. We'll monitor everything until the demolition. He was trying to be kind. I could see that. My younger brother, the golden child who'd escaped to international finance while I stayed in Michigan handling our parents' decline, was trying to be kind. But kindness and belief are different things. We installed the cameras on September 22nd, 4 of them, covering every entrance. The feed went to an app on both our phones. Marcus monitored it obsessively for 3 days, then lost interest when nothing happened. See? Empty house. Just your imagination working overtime. But I kept watching. And on September 30th, at 3:47 a.m., I saw something. Not a person. That would have been too simple, too easy to prove. What I saw was the kitchen door, the one I'd locked and checked myself standing wide open. No figure on camera, no movement before or after, just closed at 3:46, open at 3:47, like a glitch, like a ghost. I drove over in my pajamas and winter coat, breaking every personal safety rule I'd taught my daughters. The door was closed when I arrived, locked. I stood there with my key in my hand, wondering if I was losing my mind. Then I noticed the smell. Faint, but unmistakable. My mother's perfume. White shoulders. She'd worn it every day for 40 years. The scent was strongest in her bedroom. The empty room where she'd died. Where hospice had set up the hospital bed. Where I'd spent her last week sleeping in a chair beside her, listening to her breathe. Someone had been in here. Someone who knew her smell, who could recreate it, or, and this thought made my hands go cold, who still had access to her things. But we'd cleaned out everything, donated her clothes to Goodwill, threw away the half-empty perfume bottles, the medications, the personal items too intimate for strangers to sort through. Marcus and I had done it together. One of the few times in the last decade we'd cooperated without arguing. Yet the smell persisted, concentrated in the corner where her dresser had stood. I called Marcus from the house. It was afternoon in Dubai, and I could hear construction noise behind his voice. Someone's been in Mom's room. Ellie, I can smell her perfume. A long pause. That's not possible. Come smell it yourself. I'm in Dubai. I have meetings all week. The demolition is in 20 days. Can you just hold it together for 20 more days? Hold it together. As if I was falling apart. As if 35 years of managing procurement contracts for the state, of negotiating million-dollar deals with vendors who'd sell their grandmothers for a markup, counted for nothing because I could smell perfume in an empty room. I started sleeping in my car outside the house. Not every night. I wasn't that far gone, but often enough that my neighbor Mrs. Chen started asking questions. "You look tired, Eleanor. Are you feeling all right?" I was not feeling all right. I was feeling like someone was playing an elaborate game with me, and I couldn't figure out the rules or the stakes or even who my opponent was. The cameras showed nothing. The locks stayed locked. But things kept happening. The demolition company called to cancel our contract. Someone had contacted them, claiming to be Margaret Voss's attorney, threatening legal action if they proceeded. It took 3 days and a conference call with my actual lawyer to resolve it. Then the property tax bill arrived, marked as delinquent. According to the county, someone had filed paperwork claiming the house was now a primary residence, which changed the tax classification and triggered a reassessment. The amount due tripled. More phone calls, more notarized letters, more hours of my life spent proving that my dead mother was, in fact, dead. Marcus stayed in Dubai through all of this, sending brief texts. "Just handle it, and stop overthinking," and once at 2 a.m. "My time, maybe we shouldn't sell." That last text woke me fully. I called him immediately. "What do you mean, we shouldn't sell?" "I've been thinking. The market's going up. Maybe we hold on to it for another year. The contract is signed. The demolition is scheduled. Contracts can be broken. Marcus, what's going on?" "Nothing. I just think maybe you're right. Maybe someone wants the house. Maybe we should find out who." It was the first time he'd acknowledged that something was happening. But instead of relief, I felt a chill. Marcus never changed his mind without a reason. A profitable reason. The next morning, I found a letter tucked under my windshield wiper. Not at the house, at my condo, 20 miles away. Handwritten on the same blue-lined paper as the first note, the one in the mailbox. This time, more than just my name. "Eleanor, your mother wanted me to have it. Stop interfering. M. Not Marcus. He was still in Dubai, and his handwriting looked like a doctor's prescription. Not this careful cursive. M. Someone else. Someone who knew where I lived, who could find my car, who claimed my mother had made promises I knew nothing about. I took the letter to the police. Officer Chen added it to the file, which had grown to include the false tax filing, the utility fraud, and what they were now calling harassment of an estate executor. Still not enough for an investigation. Without a clear crime or a suspect, Mrs. Voss. But I had a suspect now, or at least an initial. I spent the next week going through my mother's papers again. Every document she'd kept in the filing cabinet we'd moved to my condo. Bank statements, tax returns, birthday cards she'd saved, grocery lists. Looking for any mention of someone with the initial M. I found it in her 2023 calendar, the week before she went into the hospital for the last time. Written in her shaky handwriting, "M comes Thursday. Discuss house." Thursday, 3 days before her final hospitalization. Someone had visited my mother when she was barely conscious, heavily medicated, possibly confused. Someone who discussed the house. Someone she'd never mentioned to me or Marcus. I checked her phone records from that week. One incoming call on Thursday, from a number I didn't recognize. I called it from my cell phone, my heart pounding. "Meadowbrook Senior Services," a cheerful voice answered. "How can I help you?" Meadowbrook Senior Services operated out of a strip mall between a nail salon and a tax preparation office. I drove there without calling ahead, afraid that announcing myself would give M time to disappear. The reception area smelled like vanilla candles trying to mask something medical. A woman in purple scrubs sat behind a desk covered in guardian angel figurines. I need to speak with someone about my mother's account. Margaret Voss. The woman typed slowly, squinting at her screen. I don't show a Margaret Voss in our system. Someone from here visited her on Thursday, October 5th, 2023. Let me check our service logs. More typing. That date. Oh, that would have been Melanie. But she's no longer with us. Melanie? Melanie Crenshaw. She left about 6 months ago. Right after. The woman stopped, glanced around the empty waiting room, lowered her voice. There were some issues. What kind of issues? I really shouldn't say. I pulled out my procurement officer voice, the one that had made contractors squirm for 3 decades. My mother is dead. Someone is fraudulently using her identity to access her house. If Melanie Crenshaw was involved... Oh, God! The woman's hand went to her throat. Not again. This has happened before? She looked around once more, then leaned forward. 3 times. 3 elderly clients, all passed away within months of Melanie's visits. All of them had their identities used after death. We couldn't prove anything, but the pattern. Management let her go quietly. No references. I need to find her. I can't give out employee information. Then give me management's number. Or I can call the police from your parking lot and have them ask. She wrote something on a post-it note, slid it across the desk. Not a phone number, an address. She moved here after we terminated her. Her emergency contact told me. Warned me, actually. Said Melanie had been asking about our other clients, trying to get addresses. I'm not supposed to know this, but... She glanced at the note. Be careful. There was something off about that girl. The address led to an apartment complex on the south side, the kind with rust stains under the balconies and broken toys in the communal lawn. Unit 247 had newspapers piled outside the door, but I could hear a television inside. I knocked. The woman who answered wasn't what I expected. Maybe 35, professional-looking despite the sweatpants and messy bun. She could have been one of my daughter's friends. Pleasant face, tired eyes, the kind of person you'd trust to care for your aging mother. Melanie Crenshaw? Who's asking? Eleanor Voss. Margaret Voss's daughter. Her face went through several expressions. Surprise, calculation, then something like resignation. I wondered when you'd show up. You admit you know my mother? Knew. Past tense. I'm sorry for your loss. Are you the one accessing her house? She laughed, but it wasn't amused. Come in. You should probably hear this. Her apartment was sparse but clean. Moving boxes still stacked against one wall, as if she'd never fully unpacked. She gestured to a folding chair, poured herself coffee without offering me any. Your mother hired me, she said. Privately. Off the books from Meadowbrook. Hired you for what? To check on the house, after she was gone. I stared at her. That's insane. Is it? She knew she was dying. Knew you and your brother would sell immediately. She wanted someone to maintain things for a while. Maintain what things? The house is empty. Melanie studied me over her coffee cup. Is it? What does that mean? Your mother told me stories about things that happened in that house. Things she didn't want disturbed. My mother was on morphine, heavy doses. She wasn't thinking clearly. Clear enough to give me a key. My blood went cold. You have a key? Had. Past tense. She stood, went to a drawer, pulled out a key on a Home Depot tag, handed it to me. She had it made the week before she died, gave it to me during my visit, said to wait 6 months after her death, then start checking the house weekly. Why 6 months? She said that's how long it would take. For what? For you to stop paying attention. The insult of it burned. My mother, planning behind my back, assuming I'd abandoned my duty. And the utilities? The security system? Not me. I mean, I tried to turn the power on once, just to check the freezer in the basement. Your mom was very specific about the freezer, but it got shut off immediately. The security system, the water bill, all that? Someone else. Who? How would I know? I stopped going after the power got cut. Figured you were watching the place. But then what? She pulled out her phone, scrolled through photos. Last week, I drove by just to look. Force of habit, I guess. And I saw this. The photo showed the house at night, every window glowing. A silhouette in the upstairs window. My mother's room. When was this? Tuesday, around 11 p.m. Tuesday, when I'd been at book club, talking about normal things with normal people who didn't have dead mothers ordering surveillance from beyond the grave. The cameras hadn't shown anything that night. I'd checked the next morning, like I always did. Nothing. There's more, Melanie said. Your mother left something else. Made me promise to give it to you, but only if you came looking for me. She retrieved a manila envelope from the bedroom, handed it over. She said you'd understand eventually. Inside was a document I'd never seen. A quitclaim deed, dated 1992, transferring partial ownership of 447 Sycamore from my parents to someone named Michael Voss. Not Marcus. His legal name was Marcus. Michael Voss, with an address in Ypsilanti. Who is Michael Voss? Melanie shrugged. Your mother never said, just that he had rights to the house. That's why she wanted me to watch it, to make sure his interests were protected until he came to claim them. This is forged. It has to be. The notary seal looks real. You could check the county records. I left her apartment with the key, the deed, and a migraine building behind my eyes. The county records office was closed, but I sat in their parking lot, searching property databases on my phone. No Michael Voss in the current ownership records. But in the archived files, digitized and barely searchable, I found a birth certificate. Michael Voss, born April 15, 1975. Parents, David and Margaret Voss. My parents. My brother, who was never born, or was never supposed to have been born. The pregnancy my mother lost the year before Marcus, the one she never spoke about except once, drunk on wine at my wedding, crying in the bathroom about my first baby boy. Except, according to this birth certificate, he hadn't died. I called Marcus from the county records parking lot. It was dawn in Dubai, and he answered groggily, "We have a brother." Silence. Then, "What?" "Michael Voss, born 1975. Mom had him the year before you." "That's impossible." "I'm looking at his birth certificate." "Ella, Mom had a miscarriage in 75. She told us about it." "She lied." More silence. I could hear him getting up, moving around. "Send me what you're looking at." I photographed everything. The birth certificate, the quitclaim deed, Melanie's statement that I'd insisted she write down before I left. Sent it all to Marcus and waited, still sitting in the government parking lot while October rain started speckling my windshield. My phone rang 10 minutes later. "This can't be real," Marcus said, but his voice had changed. The dismissive tone was gone, replaced by something sharp and calculating. If there's another heir, he's been in the house. You don't know that. Who else would it be? He has partial ownership. He has a key. He's probably the M who's been leaving notes. We need a lawyer. Now. Today. If this deed is legitimate, the sale can't go through. We could lose everything. I don't care about the money, Marcus. You should. Half of 400,000 is a lot different than a third. And that's assuming he only owns a third. What if there are other documents? What if he's been living there? In the house? You've been there. It's empty. The main floor is empty. But there's a basement, an attic. Places I haven't really checked since Mom died. Then check them. I'm booking a flight. I'll be there tomorrow night. The rain had turned heavy by the time I reached Sycamore Street. The house looked different in daylight rain. Older, more secretive, like it was hiding behind the water streaming down its windows. I'd brought a flashlight, pepper spray, and my phone fully charged. If Michael Voss was in there, I was going to find him. The basement door had always stuck. My father would shoulder it open, cursing about humidity and wood swelling. But when I turned the knob, it opened smoothly. Recently oiled hinges. The smell hit me immediately. Not mold or dampness, but food. Canned soup, coffee, human habitation. The basement was partially finished, with wood paneling my father had installed in the 80s. Behind the water heater, where we'd always stored Christmas decorations, someone had built a false wall. Badly done, but effective if you weren't looking for it. The paneling didn't quite match, and there was a gap at the bottom where light leaked through. I found the opening behind the old chest freezer, the one Melanie mentioned my mother was concerned about. The freezer was running, humming steadily despite the supposedly disconnected power. An orange extension cord snaked from beneath it into the wall gap. Behind the false wall was a living space. Neat, organized, surreal. A camping cot with military-tight sheets, a card table with a laptop, closed, stacks of canned goods, a hot plate, and covering one entire wall photos. Photos of our family. Marcus and me as children. My parents' wedding, my daughter's birthday parties, my college graduation, Marcus's first day of high school. Hundreds of photos. Some I recognized from family albums, others I'd never seen. In the center, larger than the rest, was a photo of a young man who looked like Marcus but wasn't. The same dark hair, same sharp jaw, but older, wearing an army uniform. Michael. You found it. I spun around. A man stood in the gap, blocking my exit. Tall, thin, graying hair that had once been dark. He looked like my father. He looked like Marcus. He looked like the ghost of the brother I never knew I had. Michael. Hello, Eleanor. His voice was calm, educated, nothing threatening about it. But I gripped the pepper spray in my pocket. You've been living here. Off and on. More on lately, since Mom got sick. She knew you were here? Who do you think invited me? He moved into the space, and I backed against the photo wall. Relax. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just tired of hiding. We were told you died, as a baby. I was supposed to. He sat on the cot, suddenly looking exhausted. Born with a heart defect. Wasn't expected to survive the week. Mom couldn't handle it. Dad decided it would be easier to tell people I'd died, rather than watch me die slowly. But you lived. Against all odds. Spent the first 3 years in and out of hospitals. By the time I was healthy enough to come home, you'd been born. They'd already told everyone about the dead baby. Easier to give me to Dad's cousin in Ypsilanti. Let me grow up as their son. That's insane. That's the 70s, and Dad's pride. He couldn't admit he'd lied, so they kept me secret, sent money, visited when they could, until I turned 18 and wanted answers. The quitclaim deed. Their way of apologizing. Partial ownership of the house I should have grown up in. I was supposed to inherit when they died, but quietly. Through lawyers. Mom was going to explain it all in a letter. But she got sick too fast. The cancer took her voice first. By the time I got here, she could barely write. But she knew I was in the basement. Brought me food when she could still walk. Told me to wait, that she'd make it right. Marcus knows now. He's coming back. Michael smiled, and it was so much like our father's smile, it made my chest tight. Marcus has known for years. What? Ike, he pulled out his phone, scrolled through messages, showed me an exchange from 2019. Marcus's number. Stay away from Elle. I'll handle the estate when the time comes. You'll get your share. He's been paying me. Monthly transfers. Hush money, essentially. But I don't want money. I want my family. I sank onto the metal folding chair, my legs suddenly unable to hold me. How long have you been down here? Since Mom's diagnosis. Almost 2 years. I couldn't let her die alone. She wasn't alone. I was here every day. During the day. I was here at night. We had a system. She'd tap on the floor when you left, and I'd come up, sit with her. She'd tell me stories about you and Marcus, about the grandchildren she wished I'd given her, about the life I should have had. This is sick. This is family. He stood, moved to the photo wall. Do you know how many school plays I watched from outside windows? How many birthdays I knew about, but couldn't attend? I've been a ghost in my own life, Eleanor. And now the house, my only legal connection to this family, is about to be demolished. Marcus arrived, looking like he'd slept in his clothes, which he probably had. 30 hours of flights and layovers had stripped away his corporate polish. He stood in my condo, looking diminished, human in a way I hadn't seen since our father's funeral. Where is he? Still at the house, I assume. You left him there? What was I supposed to do? Call the police? He owns part of it. Marcus poured himself whiskey from my cabinet without asking. The deed could be fake. The birth certificate isn't. I had a lawyer verify it today. Michael Voss exists. Legally, officially, our brother. Jesus. He drained the glass, poured another. Mom never said anything to you? Nothing. You? He wouldn't meet my eyes. She might have mentioned something. When she was medicated. I thought it was the drugs talking. I pulled out my phone, showed him the text exchange Michael had shared. Try again. His face went white, then red. You went through my messages? Michael showed me his. You've known since 2019. He was blackmailing me. With what? The truth? With showing up at my son's wedding, meeting my wife, destroying everything I've built. Everything built on lies, you mean? Easy for you to say. You're divorced. Your kids are grown. You have nothing to lose. I have a brother I never knew about to lose. A brother you've been hiding from me. He's not our brother. He's a stranger who shares DNA. He watched us grow up, Marcus. He has photos of my daughter's birthdays. He held Mom's hand while she died. He's a stalker. He's family. Marcus threw the glass. Not at me, but at the wall, where it shattered and left a whiskey stain I'd still be finding drops of weeks later. Family? He's trying to steal our inheritance. His inheritance. He has legal claim. 1/3 at most. Unless there are other documents. That stopped him. What other documents? I don't know. But Mom had 2 years to make arrangements. She was seeing lawyers, even when she was sick. Remember how she insisted on going to those appointments alone? Marcus sat heavily on my couch, head in his hands. This ruins everything. The demolition, the sale, all of it. Maybe that's what Mom wanted. Mom was dying, not thinking clearly. Clear enough to hide a son for 48 years. We sat in silence, Marcus breathing heavily, me trying to process the magnitude of my mother's deception. The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Michael stood in my hallway, looking smaller outside the basement, more vulnerable. I thought we should talk. All 3 of us. Marcus was on his feet instantly. Get out. I have as much right to be here as you do. This is my sister's home. Our sister. Michael's voice was calm, but I saw his hands tremble. I'm not the enemy, Marcus. I'm just tired of being erased. I let him in. Marcus looked ready to leave, but his curiosity or greed won. We sat in my living room like the world's most dysfunctional support group. 3 siblings who didn't know how to be siblings. Michael pulled out a folder. These are Mom's medical records from 1975. My birth, the heart surgery, the prognosis. It's all here. Dad's insurance wouldn't cover experimental treatment. They had to choose. Bankruptcy to maybe save me or let me go. The cousin in Ypsilanti had better insurance through the auto plant. They legally adopted me for the medical coverage. That's insurance fraud, Marcus said. That's survival, Michael replied. And it worked. I lived. And then what? They just kept the lie going? By the time I was healthy, they had you, the replacement baby, the one who wasn't broken. How do you tell a child their brother isn't dead, just inconvenient? I looked through the medical files, the dates, the procedures, the astronomical costs, even in 1970s dollars. It was all real. Did Mom ever try to bring you back? Every year, but Dad wouldn't budge. Said it would traumatize you and Marcus, destroy the family's reputation. Back then, giving away a sick child was social suicide. So I stayed the cousin's kid. Visited occasionally, carefully. You met me once, Eleanor. I did. 4th of July, 1987. Dad introduced me as a distant cousin. You were 10. You showed me your rock collection. A memory surfaced, hazy but there. An older boy at a family barbecue, looking at my carefully labeled rocks, telling me the names were wrong, but helping me fix them. Being patient with the annoying little girl. I'd had a crush on him for months. That was you. That was me. This is insane, Marcus said. Even if it's all true, it doesn't change anything. The house is being demolished in 5 days. Actually, Michael said, pulling out another document. It's not. The paper was a will. Mom's will. Not the one we'd filed with probate, but another one, dated a week before her death, signed by 2 witnesses I didn't recognize, notarized by someone from a different bank. I leave the house at 447 Sycamore Street to my son Michael David Voss, with the provision that it remain in the family for a minimum of 10 years from the date of my death. That's fake, Marcus said immediately. The witnesses are real, hospice workers. They're willing to testify. Mom wasn't competent. She was on morphine. The notary verified competency. There's a video. Marcus grabbed the will, scanning it frantically. This hasn't been filed. It's not legal unless it's filed. I file it tomorrow, unless we can come to an agreement. Blackmail. Again. Negotiation. I don't want money, Marcus. I want to exist. I want to stop hiding in basements. I want to know my nieces, my nephew. I want to be acknowledged. And if we don't, then I file the will, contest the sale, drag this through court for years. Your business partners will love that kind of publicity, won't they? International finance executive hides brother in basement while mother dies. Marcus's phone rang. He answered it, walked to the kitchen. I could hear him speaking Arabic, his voice tense. When he came back, something had shifted in his expression. What do you want specifically? Michael looked at me, then at Marcus. Family dinners, holidays, introduction to your children as their uncle, and the house stays standing. The house is worthless as is. It needs 100,000 in repairs. I'll do the repairs. I've been living there anyway. With what money? The money you've been sending me for 5 years. I saved every penny. The demolition was scheduled for October 21st, a Monday. On Sunday night, we sat in the house, all three of us, going through photo albums Michael had found in the attic. Our mother had kept everything. Report cards, artwork, Marcus's first business plan, written in crayon. And in a separate box, locked, with Michael's name on it, the same kinds of memories. Report cards from Ypsilanti, school photos, a Father's Day card that read, "To Uncle David," in careful child handwriting. She kept it all, I said, holding a photo of Michael in a cap and gown. High school graduation. Our parents were in the background, partially hidden, but there. She came to everything important, Michael said, disguised as a distant aunt, wore wigs sometimes. I pretended not to know her. Marcus had been silent for an hour, drinking steadily from a bottle he'd brought. Finally he spoke. Why didn't you ever confront them directly? I tried, when I turned 18. Dad threatened to disown everyone, you two included. Said he'd rather have no children than have the truth come out. Mom begged me to wait. Said she'd fix it when he died. But then she got sick herself. And by then, you were in Dubai. Eleanor was dealing with the estate. There was never a right time. There's never a right time for lies this big, I said. Marcus stood, walked to the window. The same window I'd seen lit up that night. The one that started all this. The demolition crew will be here at 8 a.m. I filed the will Friday, Michael said quietly. Emergency injunction. The demolition is stopped pending probate review. Marcus spun around. You said you'd wait. I said I'd file tomorrow. That was Thursday. It's now Sunday. I filed Friday. You son of a... We're all sons of the same bitch, Michael said. And despite everything, I laughed. Even Marcus's mouth twitched. This is insane, Marcus said. We can't just pretend the last 48 years didn't happen. Why not? I asked. Mom pretended for 48 years. Dad pretended. We're good at pretending in this family. My kids don't even know you exist. Neither did I said. Until this week. Marcus looked between us, and I saw him calculating, always calculating. If we do this, if we acknowledge you, Michael, what happens to the house? Really? I live in it. Fix it up. Make it what it should have been. And when you die, it goes to the next generation. Your kids, Eleanor's kids, the family I never got to have. That's not fair to you, I said. Michael smiled, and for the first time, I saw our mother in his face. Fair went out the window in 1975. I'll take what I can get. Marcus's phone rang again. He looked at the screen, declined the call. It rang immediately again. This time he answered, walking outside. When he came back, his face was strange. That was Ahmet, my business partner. Someone sent him the documents, all of them. Birth certificate, quitclaim deed, the new will. They're threatening to release them to the Dubai financial press unless I pay $2 million. We both looked at Michael. Wasn't me, he said. I don't even know who Ahmed is. Then who? My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Your mother wasn't the only one who knew. Check the freezer. The freezer, the one in the basement, still running on mysterious power. We went down together, the three of us, like children in a horror movie. The freezer was padlocked, but Michael had bolt cutters in his tool collection. Inside, under layers of frosted ice, were banker boxes. 3 of them sealed in plastic. The first contained documents going back to 1950. Our grandfather's will, leaving everything to all surviving grandchildren. Property deeds with Michael's name, added in handwriting that looked like our father's. Bank accounts we'd never known about. The second box held correspondence, letters between our parents, agonizing over Michael's exile. Letters from Michael to Mom, never sent. Letters from someone named Patricia Voss, Dad's cousin, Michael's adoptive mother, threatening to expose everything if the payments ever stopped. The third box was cash. $100 bills, bundled and dated. Almost $200,000. Mom's insurance policy, Michael said. She always said she had insurance against the truth coming out. But who's blackmailing me? Marcus asked. Another text arrived, this time to all 3 phones. Family meeting. 20 minutes. Living room. We waited in the empty living room. Marcus pacing, Michael sitting on the floor, me standing by the window watching for cars. At exactly 20 minutes, the front door opened with a key. Melanie Crenshaw walked in, but she wasn't alone. With her was a woman in her 70s, sharp-eyed and straight-backed despite her age. Aunt Patricia, Michael breathed. Patricia Voss, our father's cousin, the woman who'd raised Michael as her own. She looked at each of us in turn, her expression unreadable. Margaret asked me to do this, she said. If you 3 couldn't work it out amongst yourselves, I was to force the issue. You're blackmailing me? Marcus said. I'm motivating you. Michael deserves his birthright. You've had 48 years of privilege. Time to share. This is extortion. This is justice. Patricia's voice was steel. I raised your brother, changed his diapers, sat through his surgeries, held him when he cried for parents who wouldn't claim him. Your parents paid me, yes, but money doesn't replace family. So you want $2 million? I want Michael acknowledged, publicly. And I want the house to stay in the family, as Margaret wished. And if I refuse? Patricia pulled out her phone, showed us an email ready to send. The recipient list included every major financial publication in Dubai, Marcus's partners, his wife, his children. You wouldn't, Marcus said. I'm 73 years old. I have terminal lung cancer. I have nothing to lose and a son to protect. He's not your son, I said quietly. Isn't he? I'm the one who taught him to walk, to read, to ride a bike. I'm the one who attended every school play, every graduation. Biology doesn't make a parent. Love does. Michael stood, went to Patricia, hugged her. Mom, you don't have to do this. Mom. He called her Mom. And suddenly I understood the full weight of what our parents had done. They hadn't just hidden a son. They'd created a parallel family, a shadow life that ran alongside ours. Marcus looked defeated. What do you want me to do? Acknowledge your brother, publicly. A family photo for the Dubai Society pages, an introduction to your children, and stop the demolition. It's already stopped. Then we're halfway there. The room felt too small, too full of ghosts. Our mother's presence was everywhere, in the walls she'd painted, the floors she'd polished, the lies she'd maintained. "Fine," Marcus said, "but the blackmail stops, all of it." "Agreed," Patricia said. "Michael, show them." Michael pulled out his laptop, opened a folder. Inside were dozens of documents, all notarized, all legal. Power of attorney, medical directives, financial accounts, a complete paper trail of his existence, ready to be filed. "Mom prepared everything," he said. "She knew this day would come." I looked at the screen, at the proof of my mother's elaborate deception. "She planned all of this?" "Every detail," Patricia confirmed. "Even Melanie was her idea. Someone to watch the house, to force you to investigate. Margaret knew you, Eleanor. Knew you couldn't let a mystery go unsolved." "And the lights?" I asked. "The ones I saw that night?" Michael looked embarrassed. "Timer switches. Mom showed me how to install them. She said you'd need a push to start looking. She manipulated all of us, even from the grave." "She loved all of us," Patricia corrected, "even from the grave." Marcus's phone rang again. This time he answered, spoke briefly, hung up. "My wife is flying in tomorrow. She wants to meet her brother-in-law." The demolition company arrived Monday morning as scheduled. Marcus met them in the driveway, handed them a check for the cancellation fee, sent them away. The neighbors watched from windows, probably wondering about the family drama they could sense but not quite see. That afternoon, we took the family photo Patricia had demanded. 3 siblings on the porch of 447 Sycamore Street. Marcus in his Dubai suit, me in my Michigan casual, Michael in jeans and a button-down that had probably been our father's. The photographer was confused by the tension, the lack of easy familiarity, but she got the shot. It would run in 3 Dubai papers, captioned, "International Finance Executive Marcus Voss reunites with siblings at family home." Marcus's wife Sarah arrived that evening. She looked at Michael for a long time, then said, "You have David's eyes. Our father's eyes." She'd seen it immediately. Their children, my nephew and niece, flew in 2 days later. They were fascinated by their new uncle, this mystery relative with stories about their grandparents they'd never heard. Michael was careful with them, gentle, like someone who'd practiced being family, but never gotten to perform. The house transformed over the next weeks. Michael hired contractors, fixed the foundation, updated the electrical properly this time. I found myself there most days, watching our childhood home become what it should have been. Marcus flew back to Dubai, but called daily. His voice different now, less sharp. He was even talking about bringing his family for Christmas. "Mom would have loved this," I said to Michael one afternoon, watching him repair the kitchen cabinets. "She did love it," he corrected. "She saw it all, in her mind. Told me exactly how it would go. Even predicted Marcus would throw something when he found out. She knew us that well. She had 48 years to study you, and she told me everything. Every story, every personality quirk, every strength and weakness. I know you better than you think. That's deeply unfair. Most things are." Patricia died 6 weeks later. Quietly, in her sleep, in the bedroom Michael had prepared for her in the house. At her funeral, Marcus gave a eulogy that acknowledged her as family, as the woman who'd saved his brother's life. The truth was finally public, messy and complicated, and impossible to fully explain. The local papers ran a human interest story. The brother who lived, a family's 48-year secret. Marcus hated the publicity, but he endured it. I kept the key Melanie had given me, the one my mother had made. Sometimes I hold it and think about the doors we choose to open, the ones we lock, the ones we pretend don't exist. The house at Form 47. Sycamore still stands, will stand for at least another 10 years according to the will. Michael lives there now, legally, openly, filling it with the life it should have always held. But something is broken between us all that will never fully heal. We meet for dinners, celebrate holidays, take family photos. We perform the rituals of siblinghood. Yet, there's a carefulness to every interaction, a weight to every word. Marcus's children love their Uncle Michael, but Marcus himself maintains a corporate distance, even at Christmas dinner. His wife tries to bridge the gap, but some chasms are too wide for good intentions. I visit Michael twice a week. We drink coffee in the kitchen, where our mother fed him in secret. And he tells me stories about watching us from the outside. How he sat in his car during my wedding, knowing he should have been a groomsman. How he attended our father's funeral from the back row, unrecognized. How he drove by the house every Christmas, watching our lights, our celebrations, our normal family life. That was never normal at all. The house is beautiful now. Michael restored it with the obsessive care of someone reclaiming their birthright. But I can't drive past at night without remembering that first moment. The lights blazing, the shadow in the window, the beginning of the unraveling. Some houses hold families together. Others keep secrets that tear them apart when finally exposed. Last week, I found a letter my mother had hidden in the attic, addressed to all three of us, dated the day before she lost her voice to cancer. My dear children, all three of you, forgive me. I chose the lie because I couldn't bear the truth. Not the truth of Michael's illness, but the truth of what we did to survive it. We sold one child's birthright for another's future. We traded Michael's place at our table for Marcus and Eleanor's normal childhood. It was wrong. It was necessary. It was unforgivable. It was the only choice I could make. The house holds all our sins and all our love. Don't let them demolish either. The house stands. The family endures. But forgiveness, that's a renovation that may never be complete.